Good morning, everyone. I am Teacher Jarrett, and today we are starting a new lesson this week. Our weekly concept is now and then. Our essential question this week is, how is life different than it was long ago? So we can see this is an old picture, and it's a little girl holding a stick and playing with a circle, right? Let's go to the next page. Here's another girl playing with the same toy. Once upon a time. Talk about it. What are the children playing? Tell how they are like or different than you. So we can see it looks like the stick or the circle is rolling, right? Like rolling. And so they use the stick to hit the circle and then hit it left and right to keep it rolling forward. If it falls down, then they lose, or then they have to start over again, right? So this was a game that children a long time ago used to play. And we can see they're dressed very differently than what we wear today, right? She has a hat on and gloves, and she has shoes with little socks that go over the shoes. And this girl is wearing the same type of clothes, right? So how are they like or different from you? Well, they're both little children, and they both like to play games, but the games they play are different from what you like to play, right? Some people, like you, maybe play on your phone, or maybe you read a book, or maybe you play board games. You have a board and then you move pieces around, right? So that's how they're different. So let's go and learn our new words for this week, okay? Yeah, great. Okay, so we will start with our first word. Our first word is ago. Ago is a word used to tell about things in the past. So ago is spelled A-G-O. Ago is a word used to tell about things in the past. Schools were small long ago. So you can see this is a school, right? It's so small, but maybe there was kindergarten and first grade and second grade all the way up to sixth grade in this one room schoolhouse, right? So another thing we can say is that we can also say children didn't play with computers or cell phones long ago, right? Because long ago, maybe 20 or 30 or 100 years ago, there weren't any computers or cell phones, right? So we know that children didn't play with computers or cell phones long ago. Okay? Let's go to the next word. Boy. So a boy is a child that will grow up to be a man. Okay? So we know that a boy is like a little man. When he grows up and he gets older, he will be a man. So let's spell out the word boy, B-O-Y. That boy likes to skate. We can see the little boy has the skateboard and the helmet, right? So you can say, my class has many boys in it, right? So you can say your class, you're at school, your class at school has many boys in it, right? Yeah. Now let's go to our next word, girl. G-I-R-L, girl. This girl can ride a bike well. So we know that a girl is a child that will grow up to be a woman, right? Yeah. So we can say that some girls like to play the piano, right? So some little girls like to play the piano, or some may like to play sports, or some may like to read, but we can say that some girls like to play the piano, right? So that means young women like to play the piano. Okay, so those are our 3 words on this page. Now let's go to the next page. Oh, here's more words. Okay, so our first word on this page is how. How is a word to ask the way something is done. Okay, so how, H-O-W. How did kids play in the past? So you can see in the past, kids all held hands and they spun around in circles, right? Or maybe they had a ball and they threw a ball to each other, right? So can anyone think of another sentence we can use for how? If you know, raise your hand. Oh, I want you to tell me. Yes, we can say, how do kids play now? And we can say kids play on the computer or on their cell phone or with a ball, right? So they can play on the computer or with a cell phone, or they can still use the old ways to play with a ball. Let's go to our next word now. Old. O-L-D. Old homes were made of logs. So the word old, a word to describe something that was made or was born a long time ago. So we can see this is a house that was built a long time ago, right? So it is old. So that's why we say old homes were made of logs. And so old is a word to describe something that was made or was born a long time ago. So you can say, my grandmother is old. She is 95 years old, right? So there's 2 ways we can use old. You can say someone or something is old, or if you want to say how old they are, remember how, you can say they are a certain number of years and then put old on the end. and then that's how you can tell their age. Okay, and now we are going to do one more word. Okay, so our last word is people. P-E-O-P-L-E, people. So people are human beings. Okay, so people is a word to describe more than one person. Okay, so you can say people as like a group. So in this sentence, we say people went by horse and buggy. So when we say this word, people, we mean long ago, a large group of humans went by horse and buggy. Okay? So we can say there are a lot of people living in my city, right? Or I can say, I live in the country, so there are not a lot of people living near me. Okay? So people are human beings. So you and me, if we were together, we could say we are people. If it's just one person, I can say you are a person and I am a person. Okay? So our examples are, there are a lot of people living in my city. Or, I live in the country, so there are not a lot of people living near me. Okay? Now it says your turn. Say the sentence for each word, then make up another sentence. So we already did that for these 6 words, right? Yeah. So let's erase this now and go to the next page. Okay. Yay! Now we are going to study phonics and fluency. So today we are studying the long O, U, and E sound. Okay? So the O letter E spelling makes the long O sound in phone. So if we have the letter O and then another letter in between, and then the letter E, it makes the sound O, like phone. Okay? And now the U letter E spelling makes the long U sound in use. So we see U and then a letter and then E. So it's use. The E letter E spelling makes the long E sound in these. Remember, for the TH, these. Your tongue should come out of your mouth between your teeth, okay? Yeah, these. So there's an E sound here, right? E, letter E. So let's read these words together now. Remember, if we see the O letter E, the sound it makes is O. If we see U letter E, the sound it makes is U. And if we see the E letter E, the sound it makes is E. Okay? Okay. So first we have bone, drove, Steve, broke, cute, hoped, mule, voted, Eve, these, stone, cubes. Okay, now I will read it again a little faster. Okay, bone, drove, Steve, broke, cute, hoped, mule, voted, Eve, these, stone, cubes. Okay, so now take some time and practice these words and listen to me and then practice these words until you sound the same as me, okay? And then we will go to the next page. Okay, so can Pete use this phone? Zeke is Rose's cute mule. Okay, so we can see Pete, E-T-E, so it's an E sound, and then U and the S-E, so it's a U sound, and then O, and then a letter N, and then E, so it's an O sound, right? Can Pete use this phone? And remember, the TH sound, we should say this. When you speak, make sure you take a picture or look in the mirror, because your tongue should come out of your mouth. This. This. Okay? Okay. Now let's do the next sentence. Zeke is Rose's cute mule. And we see this apostrophe S, right? So that means that Rose's cute mule. That means the cute mule belongs to Rose. Okay? You remember that? Good. Okay. Now, your turn. Look for these words with O letter E, U letter E, and E letter E in life at home. Okay. So, home, huge, these, homes, use, those, pull, stove. Okay, now let's do this again. Home, huge, these, homes, use, those, pull, stove. Okay, so remember the TH sound. Those. Your tongue should come between your teeth. If you say this, those, that's wrong. Okay, you don't want to say that. That doesn't sound right. You need to make sure your tongue comes out. Those. Okay? Okay, good. So we are going to see these words when we read the story Life at Home this week. Yeah. Okay, let's go to the next page. Wow, now we're learning big words. Okay? So these are some big words we're going to learn. So let's get ready. So the first word we are going to learn is century. C-E-N-T-U-R-Y. Century. Century. A century is a time period of 100 years. Okay, so that means from 1900 to 2000 is 100 years, right? So that is 1 century. Okay, so we can say for our example, this tree was planted by the farmer a century ago. It was planted a century ago by the farmer. Okay? So this tree is so big, right? So we can say because it's 100 years old, we can say that it was planted a century ago by the farmer. Yeah. So now let's think of another example. We can say, my grandmother was born. My grandmother is 100 years old. She was born 1 century ago, right? So we can say, my grandmother is 100 years old. She was born 1 century ago. Okay, that means she was born 100 years ago. That's a long time. Okay, so again, it's a period of time. That means 100 years. Okay, now let's go to the next page. Wow, look at these children. They are looking like they're having so much fun. So this word is entertainment. E-N-T-E-R-T-A-I-N-M-E-N-T. Entertainment. So entertainment is a word used to describe something that is fun. Okay, so these children have 3D glasses on, right? Because it's blue and yellow, so it makes something seem 3D. And they are watching a movie probably, right? And so that's fun, and so that's a type of entertainment. So we can say, these children like watching movies for entertainment. Okay? Let's think of some other things that we do for entertainment. What else do we do for entertainment? Let's see. If you have an idea, I want you to raise your hand. Okay. I want you to give me an answer. I'm listening. Oh, yes. We can read books for entertainment. What else can we do for entertainment? I want you to tell me. Oh, yes. We can play games with friends for entertainment. So those are all things we can do for fun, right? So today, when you are having fun, you can think of this word. And you can say, I am reading for entertainment. Or I am watching TV for entertainment. And you can practice using this word, okay? Okay. So now let's go to our next word. Our next word is future. Okay. Future is spelled F-U-T-U-R-E. Future. The future is something that hasn't happened yet. Okay. So what can we think about from this picture? Do you have any ideas? I have an idea. This woman is fixing the car so that it will be ready to drive the future, right? So right now the car has to get fixed. But when she's done fixing it, in the future, we will be able to drive it, right? Yeah. So that future is not too far away. Maybe it'll only take her 2 weeks maybe, or 3 weeks to fix it, maybe only 1 day to fix it. Let's think about something far in the future. So we can say, in the future, robots will drive our cars, right? Maybe, I don't know. We should say might drive our cars because we don't know what's in the future. What else can we say? Oh, I know. In the future, people might be able to live in space, right? So right now, there's only some people that can go up to space, right? They live in the space station. But in the future, maybe lots of people can live in space, right? Maybe they'll have a hotel in space. So that would be exciting. So those are all things that haven't happened yet. They're in the future still, okay? Okay, now let's go to the next word. The next word is past. So past is spelled P-A-S-T. And the past describes things that already happened. Okay? So we can say, in the past, people rode in horse-drawn carriages. Okay. So we see in this picture that there was a horse pulling a carriage and people sat in that, right? Now they sit in cars. But in the past, before, this is how people got from place to place. So another thing we can say is, in the past, people didn't fly from place to place. They took a car or a boat or a train, right? So before there were airplanes, people couldn't fly. So they had to go by car or horse-drawn carriage or boat or train. So if you wanted to go somewhere, maybe from Chicago to New York, today it only takes you 3 hours to fly. But back then, in maybe 100 years ago, it might take you 2 weeks to get there because you have to go in this type of carriage, right? Yeah. So that's the word past. Okay, let's go to our final word for today. Present. So we learned all three. We learned past, present, and future today, right? Yeah. So present describes what is happening now. Okay? So we can say people drive cars in the present, right? Because today, in 2017, people drive cars. They drive from place to place, right? So we can also say that, what else can we say? People use cell phones in the present, right? Because a lot of people have cell phones. So you can just call anyone you want to call, right? Yeah. So that just describes what is happening now. So today, when you go outside, you can say, in the present, we are taking the bus. Or in the present, I am learning English, right? Or you can say, in the present, mm, there is a lot of traffic in the city, right? So anything that's happening now can be described using the word present. So that is all I have for today. So it is time for me to say bye-bye. Okay? We have a really exciting week ahead of us. We are going to learn so much about the past and the present and the future. Okay? But now I have to say goodbye. And I will see you next time. Okay? All right, bye-bye.